Welcome to my channel. Listen to my stories every day. Comment, like and subscribe to my channel. Enjoy listening. It's a typical Tuesday afternoon when I unlock my car, a well-worn sedan that's been through a lot with me. I slide into the driver's seat, ready to head home after a grueling day at work. The sun is just beginning to set, casting an amber glow over everything. I adjust the rear-view mirror, preparing to back out of the parking space, and that's when I see a small, shiny object peeking out from between the creases of the back seat. My heart skips a beat. It's a condom wrapper. My mind races, trying to make sense of it. It hadn't been there before. I know this car like the back of my hand. It's practically an extension of me. And then I remember my wife, Emily, had asked for the car yesterday. She had said it was for work. Emily's job at the marketing firm is demanding, but it's never required her to use my car before. She has her own, a sleek, newer model that she loves. So why did she need mine? My thoughts are a whirlwind as I sit there, staring at the crumpled wrapper. "Hey Jake, you all right, man? It's Steve, my colleague, knocking on the window." His voice snaps me back to reality. Yeah, just lost in thought," I reply, forcing a smile. I quickly shove the wrapper into my pocket, feeling a flush of anger and betrayal surge through me. On the drive home, my mind is a cacophony of suspicion and doubt. Emily and I have been married for 6 years, and I've always trusted her implicitly. But now this discovery shakes the foundation of that trust. By the time I pull into our driveway, the anger has crystallized into a cold determination. I need to confront her. The house is quiet when I walk in. Emily is in the kitchen, chopping vegetables for dinner. She looks up and smiles, but it feels forced to me now, like everything is under a shadow of doubt. "Hey, how was your day?" she asks, her tone casual, almost too casual. "Fine," I say curtly, tossing my keys on the counter. "Yours?" "It was good." "Busy, but good," she replies, her eyes darting away from mine. She's lying. I can feel it in my bones. I decide to play along for now, to gather more information before making my move. "Need any help with dinner?" I ask, trying to keep my voice steady. "Sure, you can set the table," she says, sounding relieved. As I move around the kitchen, setting plates and utensils, I watch her closely. She's humming softly, a tune I recognize as her go-to when she's nervous. We eat dinner in near silence, the clinking of silverware the only sound. I can't bring myself to touch my food, my stomach churning with a mix of anger and dread. Finally, I can't take it anymore. I push my plate away and look at her directly. "Emily, we need to talk." She looks up, her eyes wide with concern. "What's wrong, Jake?" I pull the condom wrapper from my pocket and place it on the table between us. "I found this in the back seat of my car." Her face goes pale, and for a moment I see raw panic in her eyes before she masks it with confusion. "I don't know what that is. Where did you find it?" "Don't play dumb with me, Emily. You had the car yesterday. You said it was for work. What kind of work requires this, I demand, my voice rising. "I swear, Jake, I don't know how that got there," she insists, her voice trembling. "You have to believe me." "Why should I?" "You're lying to me," I shout, slamming my fist on the table. "Who is he? How long has this been going on?" Tears well up in her eyes, and she shakes her head vehemently. "There's no one else, Jake. I would never cheat on you. Please, you have to believe me." I stand up abruptly, my chair scraping against the floor. I don't know what to believe anymore, but I'm going to find out the truth. Without another word, I grab my keys and storm out of the house, leaving Emily sobbing at the kitchen table. As I drive aimlessly through the city, the anger starts to subside, replaced by a cold resolve. I'm going to get back at her. She's destroyed everything we had, and she's going to pay. I pull over to the side of the road and pull out my phone. I know just the person to call, someone who's been through this before and will know exactly how to help me. I dial the number, my hand shaking slightly as I press the call button. "Hey, it's Jake. I need your help. Can we meet?" The voice on the other end is sympathetic but firm. "Of course, Jake. Let's meet at the usual spot." As I hang up, a plan starts to form in my mind. Emily thinks she's gotten away with something, but she has no idea what's coming. I start the car and head towards the meeting point, my mind focused on one thing: revenge. I pull into the parking lot of Sullivan's Pub, the dimly lit bar that's become my sanctuary in times of trouble. The neon sign flickers in the dusk, casting a blue hue over the worn pavement. I take a deep breath and step out of the car, my mind set on the plan. Inside, the air is thick with the smell of beer and fried food. The murmur of conversations and the clinking of glasses form a comforting background noise. I spot Matt sitting at our usual booth in the corner, nursing a beer. He looks up as I approach, his expression a mix of concern and curiosity. Matt and I go way back. He's been my best friend since college, and he's seen me through my best and worst moments. He knows something's up the moment I slide into the seat across from him. "Jake, what's going on? You sounded pretty shaken on the phone," he says, leaning forward. I pull the condom wrapper from my pocket and place it on the table. Matt's eyes widen in shock. "I found this in the back seat of my car," I say, my voice steady but laced with anger. "Emily had the car yesterday. She said it was for work." Matt's face hardens. "Damn, man. Are you sure it's hers? Maybe there's another explanation." I confronted her, and she denied everything. I reply, shaking my head. "But I know she's lying. I need to get to the bottom of this, and I need your help." Matt nods, his jaw set. "Of course, Jake. What's the plan?" "I'm going to follow her, see where she goes and who she meets. I need to know the truth," I say, determination seeping into my words. Matt takes a sip of his beer, considering. "All right, we'll start tomorrow. I'll tail her in my car so she doesn't suspect anything. We'll need a solid cover story in case she gets suspicious." We spend the next hour hashing out the details of our plan. By the time I leave the bar, I feel a sense of grim resolve. Emily's betrayal has lit a fire in me, and I'm not going to let it burn out until I have answers. The next morning, I wake up early, my mind buzzing with the plan. Emily is already up, bustling around the kitchen, her movements brisk and efficient. I watch her from the doorway, my emotions a tangled mess of love and anger. "I have an early meeting," I say casually. "I'll be home late tonight." Emily looks up, her eyes searching mine. "All right, be careful, okay?" I nod, forcing a smile. "You too." As I drive to work, I call Matt to confirm the plan. He's already parked near our house, ready to follow Emily when she leaves. I head to my office, trying to focus on my tasks, but my mind constantly drifting back to the situation at hand. Around lunchtime, Matt texts me she's on the move, heading downtown. I reply, "Keep me posted." The hours drag on, each one feeling like an eternity. Finally, as the workday ends, I get another text from Matt. She's at a cafe on 5th Street. Meeting someone. My heart pounds as I read the message. I grab my keys and head out, my mind racing. The cafe isn't far, and I make it there in record time. I park a block away and approach on foot, careful not to be seen. Through the large windows, I see Emily sitting at a table, her face drawn and tense. Across from her is a man I don't recognize, his back to me. They're deep in conversation, their expression serious. I slip inside and take a seat at the counter, positioning myself to observe without being noticed. The man leans forward, his voice low and urgent. Emily looks upset, her eyes darting around as if she's afraid someone might see them. I strain to hear their conversation, but the murmur of the other patrons drowns out their words. My frustration mounts as I watch them, feeling more like a stranger in my own life. After what feels like an eternity, the man gets up and leaves. Emily remains seated, her head in her hands. I wait a few minutes before approaching her, my anger simmering just below the surface. "Emily," I say, my voice cold. She looks up, her eyes wide with surprise and fear. "Jake, what are you doing here?" "I could ask you the same thing," I reply, sliding into the seat across from her. "Who was that?" Emily swallows hard, her hands trembling. He's an old friend. We were just catching up." Don't lie to me, Emily, I snap, my patience wearing thin. I followed you here. I saw the way you were talking to him. This isn't just catching up. Tears well up in her eyes, and she shakes her head. Jake, please. It's not what you think. Then tell me what it is, I demand, leaning closer. Because right now it looks like you've been lying to me. Emily takes a deep breath, her voice shaking. Okay, I'll tell you everything, but not here. Let's go home. I nod, standing up. Fine. But this better be good. The drive home is tense and silent, each of us lost in our own thoughts. When we finally arrive, Emily leads me to the living room and sits down, her hands clasped tightly in her lap. I remain standing, my arms crossed. Jake, I need you to understand that this isn't about cheating, she begins, her voice barely above a whisper. The man you saw is Mark, an old friend from college. He's been in some trouble, and he needed my help. I narrow my eyes, skepticism written all over my face. What kind of trouble? Financial trouble, she says, looking down at her hands. He made some bad investments, and now he's in debt. He came to me because he didn't know where else to turn. And you didn't think to tell me about this, I ask, incredulous. Why all the secrecy? Emily looks up, tears streaming down her face. I was afraid you wouldn't understand. I didn't want to burden you with this. Mark is desperate, Jake. He asked me to loan him some money, but I told him I couldn't without talking to you first. I let out a bitter laugh. So instead, you meet him in secret and lie to me about it. I'm sorry, she sobs, covering her face with her hands. I didn't mean for it to get this far. I take a deep breath, trying to process everything. The anger still simmers, but there's also a flicker of doubt. Could she be telling the truth? We're going to get to the bottom of this, I say finally. Together. But if I find out you're lying again, Emily, it's over. She nods, wiping her tears away. I understand. Thank you for giving me a chance. As I walk out of the room, my mind is a whirlwind of conflicting emotions. Emily's story might explain some things, but it doesn't erase the betrayal I feel. I need to dig deeper, to find out if she's truly being honest or if there's something more sinister at play. And with Matt by my side, I'm determined to uncover the truth, no matter what it takes. The next morning, the tension between Emily and me is palpable. We move around each other in the kitchen like strangers, our words clipped and formal. I watch her closely, looking for any signs of deceit, but she keeps her head down, her face a mask of sorrow and determination. Do you want some coffee, she asks, her voice barely above a whisper. Sure, I reply, trying to keep my tone neutral. She hands me a steaming mug, her fingers brushing mine for the briefest moment. There's a spark there, a remnant of the love we once shared, but it's buried under layers of mistrust and hurt. I take a sip, the bitterness of the coffee mirroring the bitterness in my heart. I have to go to work, I say, grabbing my keys. We'll talk more tonight. Emily nods, her eyes downcast. Okay, be safe. As I drive to the office, my mind is a whirlpool of conflicting thoughts. Emily's story about Mark could be true, but something still doesn't sit right with me. I need more information, and I know just where to get it. I pull into the parking lot and head straight to Matt's office. He's already there, typing away at his computer. He looks up as I enter, raising an eyebrow. Hey Jake, what's up? I close the door behind me and sit down. We need to dig deeper into this Mark guy. Emily claims he's an old friend in financial trouble, but I'm not buying it completely. Matt leans back in his chair, nodding slowly. I figured as much. I did some digging last night after we talked. There's more to this guy than Emily's letting on. What did you find, I ask, my heart pounding. Mark Williams, Matt begins, pulling up a file on his computer. He's got a history of shady dealings. Fraud, embezzlement, you name it. He's been in and out of trouble with the law for years. I feel a cold knot forming in my stomach. And Emily, is there any indication she's involved? Not directly, Matt says, shaking his head. But there's definitely a connection. They were close in college, and it looks like they've kept in touch over the years. I also found some recent transactions that suggest they've been meeting regularly. I take a deep breath, trying to steady my nerves. We need to confront him. Find out what he's really up to and what role Emily's playing in all this. Matt nods, his expression serious. Agreed. I've got his address. Let's pay him a visit tonight. The rest of the day drags by in a blur of meetings and paperwork. I can barely focus, my mind constantly drifting back to Emily and Mark. When the workday finally ends, I drive home, my thoughts a tangled mess. Emily is in the living room when I walk in, her face lighting up with hope as she sees me. Hey, how was your day? Long, I reply, my tone curt. We need to talk. She nods, her expression falling. Okay, what about? I take a deep breath, trying to keep my anger in check. I did some digging on Mark. He's got a pretty shady past. Fraud, embezzlement, and worse. Care to explain? Emily's face goes pale and she sits down heavily on the couch. I didn't know. He told me he was in financial trouble, but he never mentioned anything like that. Do you expect me to believe you had no idea? I snap, my patience wearing thin. You've been meeting him regularly. There are transactions linking you two. Tears well up in her eyes and she shakes her head. I swear, Jake, I thought I was helping a friend. I had no idea he was involved in anything illegal. I watch her closely, looking for any signs of deceit. She seems genuinely shocked, but I can't be sure. We're going to confront him tonight. Matt found his address. You're coming with us. Emily nods, wiping her tears away. Okay, I'll come. I want to know the truth too. As night falls, the three of us drive to Mark's address. It's a rundown apartment building on the outskirts of town, the kind of place where secrets thrive in the shadows. We park a block away and approach on foot, our footsteps echoing in the silence. Matt leads the way, his expression grim. Stay behind me. Let's keep this civil, but be ready for anything. We reach Mark's door and Matt knocks firmly. There's a shuffling sound from inside, and a moment later the door opens a crack. Mark's eyes widen in surprise as he sees us. Jake? Emily? What are you doing here? We need to talk, I say, pushing the door open and stepping inside. About your so-called financial trouble. Mark's face hardens and he steps back, allowing us in. The apartment is sparsely furnished, with papers and empty beer cans strewn about. It smells of stale smoke and desperation. What's this about? Mark asks, his tone wary. I did some digging, I say, my voice cold. Fraud, embezzlement, and worse. You've been lying to Emily, and I want to know why. Mark's eyes flicker with anger, but he forces a smile. I don't know what you're talking about. Emily's been helping me out, that's all. Cut the crap, Matt interjects, stepping forward. We know your history. Tell us the truth, or we'll involve the police. Mark's facade crumbles, and he sinks into a chair, his shoulders slumping. All right, fine. You want the truth? I'm in deep with some dangerous people. I borrowed money, thinking I could flip it and pay them back, but it all went to hell. Now they're after me and I'm desperate. Emily gasps, her hand covering her mouth. Mark, why didn't you tell me? I didn't want to drag you into this, he says, his voice hollow. But I needed money, fast. I thought you could help. And what about the condom wrapper, I demand? Was that part of your plan too? Mark looks genuinely confused. What condom wrapper? I don't know anything about that. I turn to Emily, my anger flaring up again. Is this true? Did you really not know? Emily shakes her head, tears streaming down her face. I swear, Jake, I didn't know any of this. I just wanted to help a friend. I feel a flicker of doubt, but there's still a nagging suspicion in my mind. We're going to the police, I say finally. You're going to tell them everything. Mark nods, defeated. All right, I'll do it. Just ... please, don't let them find me. As we leave the apartment, I feel a heavy weight lifting off my shoulders, but there's still a lingering sense of unease. Emily might have been telling the truth about Mark, but the condom wrapper remains a mystery. I glance at her, her face etched with sorrow and confusion, and wonder if our relationship can survive this storm. The truth is out there, waiting to be uncovered, and I'm determined to find it, no matter what it takes. The next few days are a whirlwind of police reports, interrogations, and uneasy silences at home. Mark's confession about his financial troubles and the dangerous people chasing him brings a temporary sense of closure, but the nagging suspicion about Emily's involvement with the condom wrapper still lingers. Emily and I barely speak, each conversation a minefield of unspoken accusations and doubts. I can see the strain in her eyes, and I know she sees the same in mine. Trust, once broken, is hard to mend, but I need to know the whole truth before deciding our future. One evening, I receive a call from Detective Carter, the officer assigned to Mark's case. He asks me to come down to the station for an update. I agree, hoping for some answers that might finally bring clarity. As I enter the station, Detective Carter greets me with a firm handshake. "Mr. Thompson, thank you for coming. We've made some progress on Mark Williams' case." I follow him to a small, sterile interrogation room where he offers me a seat. "What did you find?" I ask, my heart pounding. "Mark wasn't entirely truthful," Carter begins. "He's involved in more than just financial scams. We believe he's part of a larger operation that includes drug trafficking and money laundering." My stomach churns. "And Emily? Is she involved?" Carter sighs. "We're still investigating her role, but so far, there's no direct evidence linking her to the illegal activities. However, we did find something interesting." He hands me a folder filled with surveillance photos. These were taken outside a hotel downtown. I flip through the photos, my blood running cold. There, in clear black and white, is Emily meeting a man who isn't Mark. They're talking closely, their body language intimate. My mind races, trying to make sense of it. "Who is he?" I ask, my voice barely a whisper. Carter leans back, crossing his arms. "That's Tom Harris, another person of interest in our investigation. He's known for his connections to various underground activities. We believe Emily might be involved with him in some capacity." I close the folder, my hands shaking. "Thank you, Detective. I need to talk to Emily." Leaving the station, I feel a mix of anger and betrayal. Emily's secrets are deeper than I imagined, and I'm determined to uncover them all. When I arrive home, I find her in the living room, staring out the window. "Emily, we need to talk," I say, my voice tense. She turns to face me, her eyes filled with fear. "What is it, Jake?" I throw the folder onto the coffee table. "Who is Tom Harris, and why are you meeting him?" Emily's face pales, and she takes a step back. "I can explain, Jake. Please, let me explain." "Start talking," I demand, my patience wearing thin. Emily takes a deep breath, her eyes pleading. "Tom is my brother." I blink in shock. "Your brother? Why didn't you tell me?" "Because he's been in and out of trouble for years," she says, tears welling up. "He got involved with some dangerous people, and I've been trying to help him get out. That's why I've been meeting him in secret. I didn't want to drag you into it." I feel a surge of conflicting emotions. Anger, relief, confusion. And the condom wrapper. How does that fit into all of this? Emily's cheeks flush with embarrassment. "Tom was hiding out in our car one night. He had a girl with him. I didn't know until later. I was trying to protect him, Jake. I'm so sorry." I stare at her, trying to process everything. Her brother, Mark, the condom wrapper, it all starts to make a twisted kind of sense. Why didn't you trust me with the truth? "I was scared," she admits, her voice breaking. "I didn't want to lose you. I thought if you knew, you'd leave me." I sit down, my head in my hands. The weight of her words sinks in, and I realize the depth of her fear and desperation. "Emily, we're supposed to be partners. You should have trusted me." She kneels beside me, her eyes full of tears. "I know, Jake. I'm so sorry. Can you ever forgive me?" I look into her eyes. seeing the genuine regret and love there. It's not an easy decision, but I know we both need to make amends. It's going to take time, Emily. But if we're honest with each other from now on, maybe we can rebuild what we had. She nods, a tear slipping down her cheek. I promise, Jake. No more secrets. As we sit there, holding each other, I feel a sense of hope. The road ahead won't be easy, but at least we're on it together, with all the truths finally out in the open. In the following weeks, Emily and I worked together to untangle the web of lies and danger surrounding her brother. With Detective Carter's help, we managed to get Tom into a witness protection program, offering him a chance at a fresh start away from his criminal past. Mark, on the other hand, faces the consequences of his actions. His involvement in the criminal activities is thoroughly investigated, and he's charged with multiple offenses. The relief I feel at his arrest is tempered by the knowledge that Emily's past connections nearly tore us apart. Slowly but surely, Emily and I rebuild our trust. We attend couples counseling, learning to communicate openly and honestly. The process is painful and raw, but it brings us closer than we've ever been. We learn to forgive and to lean on each other in times of doubt. One evening, as we sit on the porch watching the sunset, Emily takes my hand. Thank you for giving us a second chance, Jake. I squeeze her hand, feeling the warmth of her love. We've come a long way, Em. And no matter what, we'll face whatever comes together. As the sun dips below the horizon, casting the world in shades of gold and purple, I know we've emerged stronger from the shadows of our past. The future is uncertain, but for the first time in a long while, it feels bright and full of promise.